Someone just disrespected you, blatantly, without restraint. Your blood heats up, muscles tense, 1,000 comebacks rush to your tongue. But this moment is not for fighting them. It's for deciding who you're going to be. It's not what they did. It's how you react that reveals your true character. This moment means more than you think. It exposes either your real strength or the lack of control you've been hiding. I'm not here to teach you to be passive. I'm here to teach you intelligent reaction, to hold your dignity, to keep your self-respect, especially from yourself. Marcus Aurelius once warned, "The angered man is already defeated." That doesn't mean you should be weak. It means you must become stronger than the emotions trying to pull you down. The difference between a powerful response and a reckless reaction lies in choosing what serves your dignity, not what merely feels good in the moment. If you've ever reacted on impulse and regretted it, or tried to prove your worth to someone who never deserved it, this video is for you. What you learn here won't just help you handle disrespect. It will teach you how to protect your own honor through silence, through control, without ever raising your voice. Stay until the end, because the deepest lesson is never found in what you do, but in how you hold yourself when no one is watching. Don't try to change someone's mind. Picture this. You're sitting in a quiet cafe. An old friend brings up a topic you know well, something you've studied, experienced, lived through. You try to offer your perspective. You speak calmly, clearly, rationally. But as the conversation goes on, you notice their bodies stiffen, their tone harden, their eyes drift away. You realize you've been here before. You're trying to convince someone who doesn't want to be convinced. And in Stoicism, that's one of the most common mistakes we make. You want them to understand you. You want fairness. You want recognition. But here's the truth. Someone who disrespects you doesn't need more information. They simply lack respect. When you keep explaining yourself in that situation, you don't look wise. You look like you're asking for permission to be respected. And respect is never something you can beg for. Psychologists call this the backfire effect. When you present logic to change someone's belief, their brain interprets it as a threat. The amygdala, the emotional center, lights up. It says, "This person is attacking my identity." So instead of listening, they begin silently defending. And the result? They walk away believing their old view even more strongly than before. The Stoics warned us about this centuries ago. You can't control what others think. You can only control whether you react or respond. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone does wrong, the harm is to himself. Leave him to his own judgment." He didn't mean ignore everyone. He meant don't mistake their error for your responsibility to fix them. They have the right to hold their view, and you have the right to hold your peace. Let's look at this from a neurological point of view. When you feel the urge to argue, your prefrontal cortex, the part that handles reasoning, temporarily gives way to the limbic system, the emotional brain. That's why you end up saying things you regret later. For the Stoics, that's the moment you lose self-command, because when emotion drives action, you stop being the master of yourself. A wise person doesn't waste energy clarifying every misunderstanding. They conserve their energy for what truly matters. Sometimes, the smartest response is simply to say, "I understand that's how you see it," and stop there. That's not agreement, it's a boundary, a clear line between what you can control and what you can't. When you stop trying to prove your point, you don't lose, you just step out of a game that has no reward. Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. No one ever changes their mind by being forced. They only change when they face truth on their own. And in today's world, this lesson matters more than ever. You can argue for hours online, but one emotional comment from a stranger can pull you into an endless spiral of proving yourself on a screen, while losing your inner peace in real life. That's not victory. That's surrender disguised as debate. So remember this. No one owes you understanding. Respect isn't earned through clever words, but through consistent composure. Choose silence when speech no longer adds value. Stoicism teaches that silence itself can be an act of awareness, and that's where true power begins, in self-mastery. Because often, what drains you isn't that others are wrong, but that you keep needing them to see you're right. And that leads us straight into the second mistake we all make. Don't try to win a wrong battle. It's a quiet evening. You post something simple on social media, a thought about work, a quote that inspired you. 5 minutes later, someone comments, "That's just theory." Real life isn't like that. You hover over the keyboard. Your fingers are ready. A dozen arguments form in your mind. You want to prove them wrong. You want to defend your point. But pause, just for 1 second, because you're about to step into a wrong battle. When someone challenges you publicly, your amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm, interprets it as a social threat. It triggers a defense mechanism. You feel an urgent need to react, to protect your ego. Meanwhile, your prefrontal cortex, the logical part, hasn't even had the time to step in. The result? You start reacting, not thinking. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Every time you try to win an argument with words, you're playing on their field, where emotion beats reason. You're not proving that you're right. You're proving that you've been pulled into their game. The ego whispers, if you stay silent, they'll think you lost. But the truth is the opposite. When you argue with someone who only wants to win, both sides lose. One loses their calm, the other loses their dignity. Stoicism teaches, not every battle deserves to be won. The wise choose battlefields that align with their values. When you fight to be right in a wrong fight, you trade your peace for a few seconds of validation. Think about online debates, politics, beliefs, lifestyle. You already know. People don't read to understand. They read to reply. And the more you write, the more they label you. When you're busy being right online, you're often losing in real life. Epictetus once said, if you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Sometimes, the hardest thing isn't saying the right thing. It's staying calm enough not to prove it. Next time someone challenges you on social media, in the office, or even at home, don't ask, "How do I win this?" Ask instead, will this conversation bring me closer to the calmer, wiser version of myself? If the answer is no, choose silence, not because you've lost, but because you've just won over your ego. Sometimes, you don't need to say anything to lose. You can lose from within, simply by reacting too soon. And that leads us to the next lesson. Don't react immediately. It's early morning on the highway. A car cuts right in front of you. No signal, no warning. Your heart races. Adrenaline spikes. Your hand slams against the steering wheel. In that split second, your brain wants to do only one thing, react. But the Stoics remind us, the first reaction is always the worst reaction. The moment emotion takes over, reason shuts down, even if just for a few seconds. When you act inside that moment, you're not in control anymore. Your biology is. When a sudden trigger hits, the amygdala, the brain's emotional center, takes full control. Meanwhile, your prefrontal cortex, the part that handles logic and consequence, hasn't had time to catch up. That's why psychologists call it an amygdala hijack. Your brain gets hijacked by emotion, and that's why people often say or do things they later regret. Stoicism sees that moment as the ultimate test of self-control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." True strength isn't dominating the situation. It's mastering your mind within it. A post online twists your words. A message arrives late at night, sharp, vague, maybe cruel. Your first impulse? To respond immediately, to defend yourself, to prove you're not what they think. But stop. Not reacting right away isn't weakness, It's a strategy, a sign that your mind is strong enough to choose its timing. That pause, even a few seconds, isn't an action. It's a neurological reset. Silence before you reply gives your brain time to re-engage the prefrontal cortex, your rational control center. When you delay your response by just 10 seconds, levels of adrenaline and cortisol drop sharply. That you think clearer. You see what's truly worth your reaction and what isn't. In Stoicism, a pause isn't avoidance. It's the moment where order is restored inside you. That silence separates what happened from how you choose to respond. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When you stay silent before responding, you're showing the highest form of dignity, self-command. That pause doesn't just calm you down. It protects your character. It turns the situation from reflex to choice, from being controlled by others to being in control of yourself. Here's what Stoic discipline looks like in action. When emotion rises, don't respond. Breathe. Observe. Ask yourself, am I reacting to be right or to stay respected? Act only after reason returns. When you delay your reaction, you're not wasting time, you're buying clarity. And that's the most valuable investment you'll ever make for long-term peace. But even when you master the pause, another test awaits. Because Stoic calm isn't just about when you respond, it's about how. And that leads us to the next lesson. Don't mirror their energy. Don't match their energy. Picture this. It's evening. You're at home, tired after a long day. A family member walks in and says sharply, "You never listen to anyone." Before you even think, your voice rises, and you're always judging. One sentence turns into a battle. Both of you are angry, both exhausted, and no one even remembers how it started. Humans mirror the emotions they receive. When someone raises their voice, your amygdala reacts. It reads tone, facial tension, breathing patterns. You borrow their energy without realizing it. This is called emotional contagion. The spread of emotion. It makes you feel like you're in control, when in truth, you've handed the steering wheel to someone else. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." Because if you return the same energy, you're not resisting, you're being controlled. When you're hit by emotional aggression, your body releases adrenaline and cortisol. Your brain flags it as a threat, and your instinct says, strike back. Regain control, but that's a biological trap. The more you react, the longer your body stays in combat mode. Heart rate rises, vision narrows, reason retreats. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, when you are offended by another man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger. When someone irritates you, look inward, not outward. That's how you dissolve anger, not feed it. Now think about it online. You post a neutral thought. Someone comments. That kind of fake wisdom only comes from people with too much free time. If you reply instantly, the algorithm rewards you both with attention. But the real cost is self-control. Every time you hit back, you teach your brain, this anger is justified. And that forms a neural pathway. A habit loop of emotional reaction. To break it, you must retrain your brain with intentional calm. Each time you stay silent while someone loses control, you strengthen your ability to command yourself the next time. Stoics don't respond with counter energy. They redirect it. If someone yells, they answer softly. If someone mocks, they answer clearly. If someone tries to drag them into chaos, they walk away with dignity. Because when you mirror their energy, you're playing their game. But when you hold your own frequency, you control the game. Seneca said it best, the weak seek revenge, the strong forgive, the wise ignore. That's not submission, that's awakened strength. Here's how you practice it. If someone raises their voice, lower yours. If someone mocks, answer to the point, not to their tone. If someone tries to pull you into an energy war, unplug. yourself. You can't keep your dignity and wrestle in the mud at the same time. Wisdom isn't about always being right. It's about reacting at the right moment. And even when you've mastered calm energy, something more dangerous still waits inside you: emotion itself. Because if you don't recognize it in time, it will quietly drive every action you take. Don't let emotion decide your behavior. It's Monday morning. You're driving to work. A message pops up on your phone. Client changed the meeting schedule. We have to redo the entire plan. Your first reaction: tension, frustration, maybe even anger. Your hands tighten on the steering wheel. Your heartbeat quickens. In your mind, you want to text back, "We've already finished everything. Why change it now?" But this is the moment you must remember: emotion is accurate to the experience, not to the action. Every emotion is a form of biological signal. The amygdala detects threat and sends a command: react now. But the prefrontal cortex, the part that judges consequences, needs a few seconds to engage. If you act before that system turns back on, you're letting emotion drive your behavior. That's why people often say things they regret 5 minutes later, or make decisions they wish they could take back the next morning. In Stoicism, emotion isn't denied. It's observed. It's a signal to notice, not a command to obey. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it's endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. If it can be endured, endure it. Don't complain." You're at a company party. A co-worker smirks and says, "I heard your project isn't making much progress these days, huh?" Your chest tightens. Your brain fires the signal: hit back. But if you let emotion drive, you'll act from ego, not from purpose. Emotion makes us human, but when it becomes the driver, we lose direction. Emotion is valid, but it's not always the right guide. Anger tells you you're hurt. Fear tells you you're at risk. Worry tells you you care about something important. But no emotion can force you to act on it. Scientists call this the emotional gap, the golden space between feeling and reaction. It usually lasts only 3 to 5 seconds, but it defines who you are. If you pause to observe your emotion before acting, your prefrontal cortex activates the neural pathways responsible for consequence and impulse control. You're not suppressing the emotion, you're steering it. Stoicism doesn't teach you to be numb. It teaches you to distinguish between feeling something and turning it into behavior. A manager receives a harsh email from a client. His first impulse is to fire back in defense of his team. Instead, he stops, grabs a glass of water, and rereads the email 10 minutes later. When he finally replies, his message is calm: "Thank you for the honest feedback. We'll review and improve." The result? The client stops attacking and starts collaborating. Not because the email was perfect, but because he protected the golden gap. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom isn't the absence of emotion. It's the presence of control. Here's how you train that discipline. When emotion rises, recognize it instead of reacting. Ask yourself, what does this emotion want me to do? And what happens if I do it? Keep a 3 to 5 second distance before every strong reaction. If you still choose to act from your values, not your mood. Emotion is the wave. Behavior is the boat. You can't control the wave, but you can choose how you steer. Yet sometimes, even when you've acted with calm and discipline, the echo of someone's words still lingers in your mind. Not because of what they said, but because you let your mind stay there. And that brings us to the next lesson. Don't let insults live in your mind too long. It's evening. You're sitting on the couch, watching the news. By chance, you scroll past a comment aimed at you. He talks a lot, but never actually does anything. Just one sentence, but your mind starts spinning. You can't focus for the rest of the night. You read that comment again and again, like an old song that hurts more every time you replay it. By morning, the person who wrote it has probably forgotten, but you're still carrying it. like a stone in your pocket. The human brain doesn't know the difference between memory and reality. When you replay an insult, your amygdala fires again, as if it's happening all over. Cortisol rises, your heart beats faster, your nervous system returns to fight or flight. The insult lasted 5 minutes, but you've extended it for 5 days. You're no longer being hurt by others, you're hurting yourself by reliving it in your own mind. Epictetus once said, "They insult you. Fine. But why do you continue to insult yourself?" A manager gets yelled at in a meeting. He stays silent, outwardly calm. But for the next week, he replays the conversation in his head. He imagines what he should have said, the perfect comeback, the sharp defense. But in truth, he's still in the same meeting, only this time there's no boss, just anger and ego. Stoicism teaches, you cannot choose how others behave, but you can always choose how you keep your own mind. When you let an insult occupy your thoughts, you're renting out space in your head for free and indefinitely. Modern psychology calls this emotional residue, the leftover trace of an emotion. When we don't process negative feelings, they don't disappear, they settle like sediment at the bottom. That residue makes you more reactive later. A careless word, a short email, and suddenly the old wound reopens. Letting go isn't forgetting. Letting go is refusing to keep feeding energy into what's already over. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." True strength isn't controlling the world. It's controlling your mind. Observe, don't react. Acknowledge you're hurt, but don't let that emotion dictate your behavior. Separate events from interpretation. Someone said something, that's the event. You thought, he disrespected me, that's the interpretation. Stoics teach, emotion comes from thought, not from the event itself. Release to reclaim mental space. Ask yourself, if they're not thinking about it anymore, why am I? Self-respect isn't about reaction. It's about deciding what deserves to stay in your mind. A social media influencer once said, "I never reply to negative comments within the first 24 hours, because those 24 hours give him back ownership of his mind. After a day, 90% of what upset him is too small to matter." That's modern stoicism in a digital age. Silence not from fear, but from refusal to sink to low energy. If you're insulted, acknowledge it, don't replay it. If it comes back, watch the feeling like an observer. If you want to respond, wait until reason returns. The conflict might have lasted 5 minutes, but you decide how much of your life it occupies. Letting go is the only way to win, not because you're weak, but because you choose inner freedom over temporary victory. But when you choose silence, there will always be people who mistake calm for weakness. They think you stay quiet out of fear, when in truth, you're doing what only the truly strong can do. Don't let insults live in your mind till long it's evening. You're sitting on the couch, watching the news. By chance, you scroll past a comment aimed at you. He talks a lot, but never actually does anything. Just one sentence, but your mind starts spinning. You can't focus for the rest of the night. You read that comment again and again, like an old song that hurts more every time you replay it. By morning, the person who wrote it has probably forgotten, but you're still carrying it, like a stone in your pocket. The human brain doesn't know the difference between memory and reality. When you replay an insult, your amygdala fires again, as if it's happening all over. Cortisol rises, your heart beats faster, your nervous system returns to fight or flight. The insult lasted 5 minutes, but you've extended it for 5 days. You're no longer being hurt by others, you're hurting yourself by reliving it in your own mind. Epictetus once said, "They insult you. Fine. But why do you continue to insult yourself?" A manager gets yelled at in a meeting. He stays silent, outwardly calm. But for the next week, He replays the conversation in his head. He imagines what he should have said, the perfect comeback, the sharp defense. But in truth, he's still in the same meeting, only this time there's no boss, just anger and ego. Stoicism teaches you cannot choose how others behave, but you can always choose how you keep your own mind. When you let an insult occupy your thoughts, you're renting out space in your head for free and indefinitely. Modern psychology calls this emotional residue, the leftover trace of an emotion. When we don't process negative feelings, they don't disappear, they settle like sediment at the bottom. That residue makes you more reactive later. A careless word, a short email, and suddenly the old wound reopens. Letting go isn't forgetting. Letting go is refusing to keep feeding energy into what's already over. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." True strength isn't controlling the world. It's controlling your mind. Observe, don't react. Acknowledge you're hurt, but don't let that emotion dictate your behavior. Separate events from interpretation. Someone said something, that's the event. You thought, he disrespected me, that's the interpretation. Stoics teach, emotion comes from thought, not from the event itself. Release to reclaim mental space. Ask yourself, if they're not thinking about it anymore, why am I? Self-respect isn't about reaction. It's about deciding what deserves to stay in your mind. A social media influencer once said, "I never reply to negative comments within the first 24 hours, because those 24 hours give him back ownership of his mind." After a day, 90% of what upset him is too small to matter. That's modern stoicism in a digital age. Silence not from fear, but from refusal to sink to low energy. If you're insulted, acknowledge it, don't replay it. If it comes back, watch the feeling like an observer. If you want to respond, wait until reason returns. The conflict might have lasted 5 minutes, but you decide how much of your life it occupies. Letting go is the only way to win, not because you're weak, but because you choose inner freedom over temporary victory. But when you choose silence, there will always be people who mistake calm for weakness. They think you stay quiet out of fear, when in truth, you're doing what only the truly strong can do. Don't let silence be mistaken for weakness. It's late afternoon. At a sports field, a former co-worker walks up, talking to someone else, but loud enough for you to hear. Didn't expect him to still be around. Thought he'd be flying high by now. You hear it clearly. You catch the tone. Your ego wants to bite back, but instead, you take a slow breath. You stay silent and turn away. In that moment, some might think you're weak, but in truth, that's the moment you're most in control. People interpret silence through their own bias. The aggressive see it as fear. The wise see it as discipline. Psychology calls this projection bias, the tendency to project one's own fear onto someone else's calm. They can't handle your stillness, so they label it with something easier to understand, weakness. But Stoicism teaches, let them think what they want. You control only your mind. Research from UCLA's neuroscience lab found, when you stay silent after someone attacks you, their interior cingulate cortex, the region that processes rejection, lights up. Your silence deprives them of feedback, and their brain begins to fill in the blanks, usually in a negative way. That discomfort they feel, it's not your problem. Your silence doesn't make you weak. It forces them to face themselves. Imagine a group argument. Your friends are debating something trivial online. Voices rise. Everyone wants to be right. Someone turns to you. Why aren't you saying anything? Don't you have an opinion? You smile. I don't need to prove myself in every debate. They might not understand, but the ones with depth will notice. You're saving your energy for what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Silence is not losing. Silence is refusing to step down. Those without control need noise to feel powerful. Those with mastery create power from stillness. When you stay silent, you're not retreating, you're stepping out of a meaningless game. You don't need to prove strength, because real strength is the ability not to be provoked. Seneca said, "He who laughs at insults has escaped from them." The moment you can smile at an insult, you rise above it. React internally, not externally. When you're mocked, let the emotion pass through you. Don't stop it. You're training your prefrontal cortex to stay in control of your amygdala. Redefine silence. Silence isn't ignorance. Silence is knowing exactly what to say and choosing not to act through calm. You don't need to prove with words. Your results, your consistency, and your character will speak for you. Don't fear silence. Fear the regret of saying something you didn't need to say. The right silence is not just self-respect, it's emotional strategy. Not everyone will understand your calm, and that's a good thing. The wise will respect it. The others will reveal who they truly are. Don't turn for them into for yourself. Imagine this. Someone insults you publicly. You feel anger rising, and one thought fills your mind. I'll show them who I am. That is the dangerous moment, because the second you say that, your actions are no longer for you. They've become a reaction for someone else. Anger hands the wheel to the amygdala. It convinces you that striking back is strength. But in reality, you've placed your emotions and your actions in someone else's hands. This is called emotional outsourcing. When your mood and your decisions depend on what others do, all they need is one sentence to make you react, and you lose control of yourself. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. If your actions come from a desire to prove, strike back, or show them, you're no longer acting, you're reacting. A young man was once told by a co-worker, "You lack character." So he worked twice as hard, not because he loved the work, but to prove them wrong. A year later, he was exhausted. When someone asked how he felt, he said, "I'm not happy, just tired." That is the cost of living for them. Because no matter how much you succeed, it won't bring peace if it was never your own goal. Stoicism teaches, no one can hurt you unless you allow it. And likewise, no one can control your purpose unless you hand it over. The human brain is wired to seek validation. When someone attacks you, your self-worth pathways ignite. You want to react to restore that sense of value. But here's the paradox. The more you seek worth through proving yourself, the more you lose your true worth. A disciplined person doesn't need temporary results to feel whole. They act from principle, not for an audience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be ye one. Do the right thing, even when no one's watching. Forgive, not because they deserve peace, but because you do. When you act for yourself, your energy is clean, not mixed with resentment or ego." Seneca warned, anger, if not restrained, is often more hurtful than the injury that provoked it. A manager once faced a heated outburst from an employee in a meeting. Instead of retaliating, he simply said, "Thank you for the honesty. I'll think about it." Some thought he was weak, but he knew the truth. If he reacted in anger, he would lose authority. The next day, he spoke privately, made a fair decision, and earned the team's respect. Reacting for them wins a moment. Acting for yourself builds strength that lasts. Before you react, ask, am I doing this to prove something, and to whom? If the answer is to show them, stop, redirect it to for me. Do it to protect your values, your dignity, your peace. When you act for them, you lose freedom. When you act for yourself, you reclaim control. Strength doesn't come from defeating others. It comes from refusing to let them define you. This is the heart of Stoic discipline. Not to be cold or unfeeling, but to turn every reaction into a conscious choice. You can't control other people, but you can control yourself. You can't force the world to be fair, but you can choose not to be dragged down by it. And that is how you silence 8 emotional traps with Stoic control, not through words, but through absolute self-mastery. You've just walked through 8 lessons, 8 ways to stay steady in the storm of emotional triggers, 8 traps most men fall into at some point in their lives, reacting to fast, fighting to be right, matching someone's anger with your own, and in the end, letting someone else control your emotions. If you saw yourself somewhere in these stories, that doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're waking up, and awareness is always the first step towards strength. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you rise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to think, to act, to love, to reason. When you wake up, remember it's a privilege to live, to think, to act, to love, and to be guided by reason." That is the spirit of Stoic discipline, not to suppress emotions, but to transform them into calm and direction. Control doesn't mean being cold. It means choosing a response that aligns with the values of who you want to become. If this video spoke to you, pause for a few seconds, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, in my life right now, what am I reacting to, instead of acting with intention? That answer could be the first step toward mastering yourself. Follow the series Silence Emotional Traps. Each episode dives deeper into the architecture of emotion and how to turn stillness into a tool for inner control. Don't forget, like the video if you think it's worth sharing. Comment, "I choose clarity over chaos," to remind yourself that you're walking this path consciously. And subscribe if you want to keep growing with a community of people learning to master themselves, one thought at a time. Because peace isn't passive, it's a discipline, and silence is where strength begins. See you in the next video of the Stoic Seeds journey, where every quiet thought becomes a seed of strength.